There's no stopping us now, minion! Together, we shall free Pandora! I will lead you into battle! I will destroy Handsome Jack with my bare hands! I will... Stairs? No!
This ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man. This ain't no place for no hero to call home.
Borderlands has always felt like playing a very violent episode of Looney Tunes. Maybe it's the cartoonish look, the zany cast of characters, or the over-the-top violence. Regardless, the marriage between RPG and FPS worked very well together when the first title debuted in 2009. Gearbox Software has answered the success of the first game with Borderlands 2, but can the addictive pursuit of weaponry and mayhem be sustained for another trip through Pandora?
If I sound pleased about this, it's only because my programmers made this my default tone of voice. I'm actually quite depressed.
There's more direction than just looking for a vault and gathering the keys this time. The evil corporation Hyperion has utilized a mineral obtained from the vault opened in the first game to establish itself as a dominant power. The face of this company, Handsome Jack, is your typical megalomaniac set on discovering the location of another vault, going so far as to summon you just to eliminate the competition. Luckily, Claptrap and the mysterious entity Angel dust you off and aid you in your mission of revenge. You won't need any backstory from the first game, but fans will be quick to recognize the original cast, who are now fully established characters that can talk. You can poke holes in the plot all day, like why Handsome Jack is simultaneously trying to kill and manipulate you, or how someone miscounted how many vaults are on the planet. Still, the multitude of echo devices fill in most of the holes, and the new purpose behind the mayhem is a welcome one.
I am the last Claptrap in existence, and I am going to teabag your corpse!
The story works, but it's the voice delivery that really shines in this game. Personalities are rich in character, and the talent in the voice cast is exceptional. Such iconic meetings with players like the eccentric Tiny Tina or Redneck Scooter will encourage you to pursue a few side quests just to hear more of their exchanges.
Just put my damsels near the choo-choo track and set them off! Good plan, great plan.
Not to be outdone by the voice work is the return of the cel-shaded influence of the first game. The lighting and art style featured in this game are outstanding, and everything from the detail of your gun to the elemental effects on an enemy really pop. Even the original soundtrack to the game intensifies the combat, as the anarchy you unleash looks and sounds amazing.
But I need some inspiration. Something to get my juices flowing so this poem will get her juices flowing. That's sex.
Borderlands 2 is the equivalent of playing a slot machine. You pull the lever, so to speak, with every single encounter, as the mobs you face and the loot that drops is entirely random. With so many glowing lockers and storage units scattered around the areas, it's hard to ignore the possibility and carry on without scavenging an emptied camp. You also procure rewards for every single action. Open a box, ammo, shoot an enemy in the head, challenge completed. Kill an enemy, level up. This repeated shower of praise may feel reminiscent of an only child whose parents can never say no, but it compels you to keep playing while simultaneously encouraging you to use variety in combat. It's a game that keeps you guessing, keeps you interested, and keeps the encounters from becoming too stale.
Minion, I've started my attack! I'm gonna tag every inch of this mountain if it's the last thing I do! Let's go!
After picking a class, you set off into Pandora, a world broken up by areas that are plentiful in side quests and opportunity. The tutorial stage can drag on a bit and takes its sweet time in giving you your first ability to really get things going, but once you hit the hub world and branch out, the addictive loot scavenging begins. The main questline will often have you moving from point to point, clearing areas of enemies, and occasionally culminating in a boss fight. These can be grand in scale, but disappointing in execution, as little mechanics are required besides strafing and holding the trigger. Not to mention death is the opposite of taxing, only deducting a small percentage of cash from your Donald Trump-influenced bank account. Enemy variety for the main story also becomes a bit too predictable, as Hyperion likes to send a seemingly infinite number of armored robots at you, resulting in the necessity of a corrosive weapon in your loadout. Luckily, the combat and gameplay remain satisfying, and the glee of landing a headshot or recovering from last stand to mow down the opposition rarely loses appeal.
Pilfer the lost staff of Mount Schuler. Then you shall bring me the head of the destroyer of worlds, and then you shall dance for my enjoyment!
Remaining a high point of the game, the arsenal you discover is impressive in both scope and design. You continually shuffle your loadout upon discovering new chests and weaponry, and every item has some sort of distinction to it. Some guns reload with 2 clips, some use red dot sights, and some use burst fire instead of automatic fire. It's always refreshing to join up with a group and see weapons you have yet to run across. Most also come attached with elemental effects like corrosion to burn away armor or shock to deplete shields. With the ability to carry up to 4, it's a smart idea to keep multiple effects handy for any situation. The appropriated stats attached to the gun partner up with the preferred class tree. You can carry your tune a multiple number of ways, crafting a melee-heavy gunzerker or healing-centered siren. The hybrid potential of classes and daunting weapon variety allows for a lot of personal touch in your preferred method of attack.
You ain't no Hyperion robot. You're a Vile Hunter, huh? That's like a unicorn.
Playing solo is okay, but the cooperative play is what makes Borderlands 2 great. The more players you have, the tougher the enemies become and the better loot you come across. Running into clones of your class results in little issue, as the trees are diverse enough that varying playstyles will meld together perfectly. Still, assembling a diverse 4-person group of each class is the best experience. The biggest disappointment with the co-op is that loot is not your own, meaning the purple items players covet are snatched before you can even read the name. In a game that focuses on cooperative play, putting in competitive loot that I have to race for after defeating a boss seems like an odd move. Still, the multiplayer works well, and the ability to turn your game from private to public on a whim makes the drop-in, drop-out multiplayer the prime way to play, as long as it's with friends.
Climb up high to the crown, or you'll go insane. What? That's a rap song I wrote.
How you like me now? 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 Remember.
Though it doesn't really feel like a sequel, Borderlands 2 is still a pretty fun game. The witty dialogue keeps you entertained from the first to the last chapter, and the multitude of crates holding promise of legendary weaponry keeps you hungry for more. There's even a Vault Hunter mode with more difficult enemies and better loot for a second trip through the game. I was just disappointed at the lost areas of potential that were not addressed, such as vehicle combat, improved boss encounters, and better safeguarding for multiplayer loot. Still, with the latest edition of the Mechromancer and forthcoming DLC content, I find myself overwhelmed and overjoyed with all there is to do on Pandora, even if it does feel a little familiar.
Right! I don't have love. Minion, can you blow into this thing? Maybe liven the party up a bit? Yay! You enjoying the party?